WLOO CATV's Resident Artist Series. I'm Laura Cotting. Please join me in welcoming Waterloo resident Fran Gartner to our program today. Fran runs Precious Glass, a new small business specializing in stained glass. Fran describes herself as a stained glass artist, making stained glass for all who loved stained glass. Why do you like stained glass, Fran?
Why do I like stained glass because of all the various colors you can use to create just about anything you want. My favorite is the nature stuff. I like nature stuff, but I'll find other things that are interesting and decide to give them a try. But just the colors and the way the sunlight will bring it into your room, and you got a room full of different colors.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to start making stained glass pieces yourself instead of just admiring or buying other stained glass?
Well, the major reason was the cost, because you can find beautiful pieces and due to all the work in it, they're very expensive. And when I was looking I wanted one for my bathroom. We were remodeling it, but then too, I really wasn't finding what I liked. So I took a class in it, and I got hooked. It's just enjoyable and interesting to create things out of nothing.
One thing I've wondered about making things with stained glass is how hard is it, and do you ever cut yourself on the glass?
Yes, I have cut myself. It's a good idea to keep Band-Aids down where you're working sometimes, or even just grabbing pieces, you can cut it on it. But at first it was difficult because you're cutting with most of mine I do by hand, and I have a hand tool, a glass cutter, and you gotta get the lines right, or and then some you have tighter spaces to work with. So, but then that's you grind it. But after a while, anymore I can almost make the line any way you want, a little bit wavy, and you just snap it with the glass tool, and most of the time it cuts along the line.
So would you say it's hard to do?
For somebody that maybe isn't patient, it can be hard to do. And in fact, I've done a craft show for quite a few years now in Palmyra, at the Palmyra Eagle High School in the wintertime. And I have this lady and her daughter come by every year. And they're usually one of my first customers. And she said the daughter has been trying to do it. She said she just isn't having any luck at getting things to go the way she wants.
So if you're patient, it isn't as hard as it would be if you're not.
Yeah, and if you're not afraid to get cut. I mean, some people, it's like, well, but I don't want to cut myself. Well, it's one of the risks of using glass. Yeah.
How long have you been interested in making art?
Oh, making art in any form?
Yes.
I've always loved art.
Always?
Yes. When I was in school, art was always a class I had every year. And music, I love music. I was always in band and choir. I just never not been interested in some kind of art form.
Your interest in the arts was encouraged or discouraged?
Mom liked it. Well, my dad, he'd have the radio on all the time. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and there was always a radio on in the barn. So, they both loved music, and Mom loved dancing, and Dad, okay, I'll go with you.
So they were fine with your interest in the arts, and
yeah,
would appreciate whatever pieces that you would make, and supported your involvement in music.
Yeah. And my dad, he well, my mom passed away quite a few years ago, so she never saw me working in the stained glass. But my dad liked it, and I made him a couple of pieces over the years before he was gone, so.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, what influences guided your interest in the arts? Your parents, your school? Were there other influences that affected your artistic projects?
I would say my grandmother did too. She was a sewer, and then but actually she got into making quilts.
Oh.
She made hundreds and hundreds of quilts. I think I have 9 or so, and then before, and all her great-grandchildren, she was still around long enough, all her great-grandchildren have at least one quilt that she made. That's what she did. Her and her flowers, and not that that's art so much, but it can be, but
Yep.
yeah, she was into, and she encouraged. My aunt is not that much older than I am. I can remember her encouraging her with music, and she did art too. That's right. My Aunt Judy did art, so.
I have some quilt making friends, and I understand that with making quilts, there's a lot of the same kind of planning and laying it out that there would be with stained glass. Is
That's
that
true. Yeah, it would be, yeah, because most of her quilts, there was like a square, and then it would have a pattern in it, and of course, then you'd sew it all together. But then there were a few where it was like a full sheet, and then with just the stitching she did.
Mhm.
It's, it was like a piece of art, so, but that's true. And I've thought of that before, that, yeah, it is. I've kind of sometimes looked at quilt patterns, that, that would make a really neat
Stained glass
stained
piece?
glass, yeah.
Okay, okay. Now, I've been looking at your Facebook page and some of the things that you say about yourself and your business there, and you described your art as Americana. Could you tell me what is that? What is Americana, and why do you like it?
The Americana part of it is it's the pieces with the mostly red, white, and blue. And I've heard the term before, but I like the Americana. I think most of it goes back to the fact I do have my son is in the reserves, and you don't understand what military people go through until you're experiencing it. And most of them are such giving and helpful people, and which is part of it. And Americana, I love the country I live in. I'm very proud to be an American, so why not do something to represent that?
Celebrate it with your art.
Yes.
Okay, so Americana has a patriotic theme, patriotic colors,
Right.
kind of a patriotic motif,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it's about
okay.
national pride
Right.
and
Yeah.
respect.
Yes, that's what it is for me. So, and bald eagles,
Bald
I
eagles.
I do some custom work,
Mhm.
and a lot of it is, some of it's come about because people have asked me, well, can you do this?
Sure.
And I had somebody ask me about it, because I got this birds and that, and they said, well, could you do a bald eagle? I said, well, I came up with a simple design for one, and I like it, but my goal is at some point I'd like to do a great big one. I think they're beautiful creatures.
I agree. I agree very much with that.
Yeah.
How long have you been making stained glass?
Well, I was trying to think of that for sure. When we redid our bathroom in 2000, it was between my kids' graduations. One was 2005 and 2008. So I probably started dabbling in it probably 15 years ago. I didn't really get into it in depth probably until more like, maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So you learned by taking a class, is that right?
yes. There was the Vinery in Madison, and they did classes. They did stained glass, mosaics, just about anything with glass. And they had, I saw they had an intensive weekend. And I thought, well, I'll take a look at it and see, looking at the windows and stuff. And it really isn't that difficult. It didn't take, yeah, you needed the whole weekend because you were first starting, but that was the first class. I went a couple more times for where I would work on something, and then there were people around, teachers, or the other artists at the stained glass, and they'd give you pointers. But then after that, I just we started buying the equipment I needed for it at home, and just started working at it at home.
I understand that stained glass can be pretty messy. So,
Yes, it can.
Yes. I imagine that wherever you make your stained glass, you don't do anything else.
No, well, actually, it's in the basement. I do have the washer and dryer there, which is nice because then there's more tabletop to work on.
Sure.
But yes, when you're cutting and then you're grinding, there's little specks of glass all over the place. You got to clean up pretty regular.
Pretty regular.
Yeah.
We have some of your smaller pieces on the table here. Could you kind of take us through each piece?
Okay. Yeah, because I do the bigger pieces, but you always have some glass left over, sort of. So, and that kind of got me, smaller pieces are a little harder to do, but it's a way of using up as much of the glass as I can. So.
Sure.
And one of the favorite things I've had here lately is just little crescent moons. People think they're cool, so. And that uses up some of it. Over here, these are night lights, which don't light up very well in the light. But and again, it was just kind of coming, okay, what would look good as a night light? So I got, this one is a rose, and then this one's a snail. I thought he was cute when I got done with him. And then they're more like flower pot stakes. Some people might, I was kind of calling them garden stakes, but it's like, no, they're really not that big. But people were asking me about bumblebees. And so I think, we can come up with something for a garden stake with a bumblebee.
Sure. People often put flower pots by their window, so the light coming in from the window and light up the stained glass stake. Yeah,
and they'll be fine outside. But they're like anything, after wear and tear, they're gonna, the coloring on the solder and stuff might change, but the glass will be fine. So, and then gnomes. Everybody seems to like gnomes. Mm-hmm. Actually, I saw something the other day with a girl gnome. I think I'm going to try that one.
Sure.
She looked cute. So, and then butterflies, because butterflies love flowers. And these, I make them in all sorts of different colors. And butterflies and gnomes, they can be pretty much any color. And then little mushrooms. And I've made these kind of like in a green too, so you can kind of do different colors with those. So this one is my unicorn, and again, somebody was asking me, could you do a unicorn? In some of the stuff I had ideas that I would like to do it, but I hadn't got to it yet. So, and she wanted it a particular color, so I did. I did it in a particular color. Unicorns are any kind of colors. I like the rainbowy part of the mane on this one though. And then there's a regular horse next to the unicorn. I do horses, white, black, again, in certain areas. They go like crazy if I go to a craft show. So people love their horses. So, and the last one is one of my smaller panels. It's actually a pattern I saw somewhere, and it really piqued my interest with a howling wolf. So I did them in darker colors because they howl at night. So.
Yes, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's what you call a panel when it is square or rectangular shape?
Yeah, if it's more, anything a little bit bigger, it's a panel. And that can be any size. And, I've made some that fit in a window. But it's just a larger panel. So.
where do you buy your glass, and how do you decide what glass you're going to buy?
If I go to a store or online, see, the winery in Madison closed, but one of his employees bought his stuff out, and now he's in Whitewater. So the winery is in Whitewater now. So I've gone down there, and I've actually even called him a couple of times saying I'm looking for this, and he can usually find it for me. So, or there's a couple websites I've used. Delphi Glass, that's a huge place in Lansing, Michigan. I'd love to go there one day just to see it. And that, so, but actually a lot of what I have right now, I've been fortunate in having people approach me that are going out of, or closing out their stained glass hobbies or a little business, and I've been buying a lot of glass, that, you know, buying their old product and taking that. So, but you know, you can look around, there's Facebook Marketplace, people have it too, and that, so it's where I can find it, and when it looks pretty, I buy it.
Well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
How do you store it then?
I have one of the ladies I bought glass from, her husband had made her this, it's probably about as wide as this, and it's got slots in it, and I store it, those are for real big pieces, because that was, and that, then otherwise, some of the smaller square pieces, I just have just a utility rack, and then have plastic tubs.
Sure.
And set them in there, and that way, and then I can pull the tub out to look for the piece I want.
And have a look. Sure. So how do you decide then when you're shopping for glass? Do you have an idea in mind of what you want? And how do you choose which colors or types of glass you're going to buy?
If I have a project in mind, like there's some red roses or something I wanted to make. I forget exactly what it was, but I knew, because there's like a wavy, there's so many different kinds of glass, but it had like a wavy texture to it, and then I wanted that. I just knew I wanted it. You know, I can't say if there's a particular reason why I pick the glass. It depends upon the project and how big it is, because this one's got like little dimpling in it.
Yeah.
And that, so that kind of picks up the light a little bit more. This one here, if you look at that blue, it's like a bigger dimpling to it.
Right.
Yeah. So the bigger the piece, or if there's something I think it would make it pop a little bit more, I'll use something a little more textured, or otherwise it can be kind of plain. Or like this has got, that's one too, it's got, I call it wispy. It's like a color, but then there's like some white in it, and it makes it look a little wispy or like cloudy or something.
Sure, or even a little bit like hair.
Right, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's part of it too, you know, especially with animals. If you want it to kind of appear of the fur, then you get something that's got varying colors in it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For me, stained glass is about light and what light does when it's going through the glass. It can pick light up and create a special mood in a room depending on the colors of the glass and where it is.
Right.
So how about we take a look at your gallery here,
Okay.
and look at your pieces, and,
Okay.
and we can enjoy the way the light goes through them. We have these hanging up here.
Yeah, some of the small stuff. Yeah, like this one.
Is this the sapphire glass you were telling me about?
Yeah, that was more the sapphire, the darker in that. And, you know, this one is just a simple geometric shape.
Panel.
Yeah.
It's a panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted the darker. So I just kind of looked, okay, you need something a little bit different in there.
Right.
So then with checking what I had light blue, and this is a little wavy, but then this is it's a very, very pale purple. And that's all it is. It's just flat glass there. So,
With the
It really-
texture, the dimply texture in it.
Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of older type styles,
Mhm.
you know, and that's actually my favorite. I like the old patterns and colors, so.
And we have a lighthouse
Yeah,
here.
this one is just a simple little lighthouse. Somebody asked me about a lighthouse, so I tried that. It's okay. It's not one of my favorite pieces, but
Someone will
somebody will like it.
Yes.
That's just it too. It's like, okay, I'll make it. And it's not quite what I like, but somebody will like it.
Mhm.
Usually they do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody has different tastes.
Right.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is just, it's a cross with the yellow rising sun, I guess you could say, behind it. One thing with stained glass is you don't want a straight line all the way through your
Okay.
piece, nor, unless you can reinforce it,
Oh,
because it gets wobbly and
Oh.
bends.
okay.
So, and I kind of wanted a cross, so I actually just, okay, let's put some wavy lines in it. And I like the way it turned out.
Yeah, I do too, and
Yeah.
I like the way the glass itself makes me think of wood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because it has kind of a grain in
Right.
it and
Yeah.
some streaking.
yeah, that I was looking forward to, so. I've done it in that texture too, and that looks really neat, but, so. And then, this is, I call this my moon phase string. Somebody was asking me about something like that, and then actually I saw it out on the internet. It's kind of a popular type
Mm-hmm.
moon phase thing, so it's
Mhm.
just the crescent and the gibbous, is that what they
Yep,
call it?
That
And
is what they
yeah.
call it.
So it's just, you know, some people like the dangly, stringy stuff
Sure.
hanging in their windows, so
Mhm.
that was, when I've done that in so many different colors, it turns out neat with anything, it seems like, so.
It's a nice piece, and this one has the pearly, sort of streaky white
Mhm.
for the moon.
Some of that does, yeah, yeah. And I had one that was dimply and that looked like the craters on the moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and this is, Valentine's Day theme is this is why I made this one, but this is a variegated burgundy, I call it. It's got the streaks of burgundy in it, some of it's deeper than the other.
Mhm.
And on that sheet of glass, some of it, there's hardly any burgundy, but it's, so
You can have a lot
pick.
of variation in one sheet, can't
Yes,
you?
yes, you
Yeah.
can. Mhm.
Okay.
So, and here's my hummingbird. This is my favorite. Actually, this is what I wanted for my bathroom, then I changed my mind, but I was gonna make a panel with a bunch of hummingbirds on it, because those are my favorite, I think, for little birds.
Mhm.
And that, usually it's mostly these colors. I had somebody ask me if I could put some purple in it too, so, okay. I'll add some purple, no big deal.
You do a lot of custom work.
Lately I have been, it's just, it seems to go in streaks. Nobody's asking for anything, and then I can have a couple, 3 months, and it's like, well, can you do this and can you do that? So, and most of the time it's not an issue. I can usually get done what you want done, so,
That's great.
yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
And your robin,
I
I
love-
just love the orange in
Yeah,
this one.
Yeah, well, the Baltimore Oriole.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I have a robin.
Yeah, I remember
I
you
had
had a robin.
robins, but yeah, and those were all gone, so, but yeah, and, because it, too, you know, I have birds I like, so I'm making them, and then people say, well, can't you make such and such? And this was one thing, somebody was, well, can't you make a Baltimore Oriole? I said, well, I can, I just haven't done it yet, so. But that one's pretty popular with the, craft shows, I'm not sure why. That and Cardinals go like crazy.
Sure. They're one of the few bright spots of color in the winter.
Mhm.
I think that's why we all love them.
Yeah. And this was just another string idea I got. It's softball. I did those last year. Yeah. They didn't go quite as good as I thought, but those, I still got them, so I still hang them.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I blue for Brewers, and I got a red one for the
The Lady Cardinals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe more of these will sell now.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
And these are really popular. People seem to like them. the pattern that I had got for it, actually, succulents. So if you do it all in green, you can call them succulents. And then I add a couple more pieces on it. But I like them best this way, is the lotus flowers. Because lotus, flowers are special to many people, so.
They're beautiful, beautiful pieces.
Yeah.
And I see you have like a glass button.
Yeah, there's like
centered.
glass beads. You can buy those in bulk just about, Hobby Lobby,
Sure.
or, lots of different places. And you just finish it off with that. And again, on the pattern, they said, well, you didn't have to, but it looks better with the bead in.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then another thing I use a lot for my extra stuff is angels. I got them this way. I have hanging. Look, there's one here. I'll do them for hanging too, and that's actually how I started. And then somebody asked me, well, can't you make it standing up? I said, I'll try, and it turned out really nice. So.
Set that up on a windowsill.
Yep, yeah. Well, that's what she said. I have a little 1-inch shelf, she said. So, okay, so that's the size I made the little square, and it fit perfect for her. So I've been making more. And again, well, like I said, it's for leftover glass. So you make them any color. And I like to do the red ones. I have a sister that passed away a couple years ago, and her favorite color was red.
Oh, okay.
Said she's up there wearing a red dress. She's not wearing that white gown.
It's going to be red.
Yeah. So, and then this is my flute player. Like I said, I've done half a dozen or so bigger pieces. This I don't. We could make it for hanging up. This for me for displaying is easier. I have a couple easels, so when I have a couple bigger pieces, and then the light just works better. So, but she was a project. That was a lot more pieces to her than I've usually done before, but she turned out.
I really like how this turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
is this one of your more popular pieces, do you think?
I have, every time I go somewhere, somebody asks me about it. So, yeah, people really like it. So, and it is for sale, so. But I still have it, but that's okay. If I end up keeping it, I'll find a place for it.
Yeah, find a place to put it.
Yeah. So, and then this is a popular piece that's a smaller piece. I think I've made a dozen of these, and they're always a little bit different. This one was blue. Somebody kind of asked for it, but then decided they didn't like the blue.
Could you hold it up a little more
bit
so
more?
we can see some light coming through there? Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I love how that ripply
Yeah, the ripply for the
texture catches the light.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's just a plain white. Now I have one here that I'm finishing up in all the different pieces and that. Now this has got ripply, but it's iridescent. So then that kind of helps pop out the color of the red rose. So.
I'm glad you brought this today because it shows us some of the planning that goes on behind the finished project. We can see it like a jigsaw puzzle, and the pieces are all outlined in the copper that you have here.
Right.
And so that's, and I see numbers on each of the pieces.
Yeah, you would think, well, what do you need the numbers for? But if you drop it, or something, or something, it's just, because there's the patterns underneath that you can lay the piece, and then that way you're making sure that the pieces are fitting where they're supposed to go. So yeah, I number them just for the, today, and it's not like I normally do it, I packaged it up and brought it here, so then I needed to lay it all back out again to show it. So and that way you're getting everything back where in the spot it's supposed to be.
Where it's supposed to be. Is this copper?
Yeah, this is copper. You use the back side of the copper is sticky. So, and then that's what helps it stay to the pieces, and then that's where you put the solder, and that's what holds everything, because solder's not gonna connect to glass. So this is the adhesive to help it. So I use black a lot. They'll do it. I can get it in just copper, and then there is a silver, and it depends upon your piece. If you're using a lot of clear pieces and you decide you want to leave the edging silver, then you're not going to see the black, because you'll see the black showing through on this when you put it all together. So if you use a silver back, then everything looks silver.
Okay, so that's why the panel here we see black.
Right, that's all black.
But on your lotuses we see the silver.
Right, yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So because you use a patina, which is a liquid that blackens the solder from silver to black. Or there's a copper one, so see, you can do copper too. I don't think I brought anything copper. That works out really. Sometimes I use it. If I want copper, I just shine it up real good and clean it up, and it stays copper. Where if I want a more old look with the copper, you get it wet, and then it kind of ages it a little bit.
Okay.
So it all depends on the effect you want to have on your piece.
There are choices.
Yes, there are choices. There's not one set way to do it.
And now, the window gallery.
Yeah, it's actually my first piece I've done with bevels. And that, so, and then this has got that dimply blue.
With the large dimples.
Yeah, so, and these you can buy, there's so many different variations of bevels you can buy. You can get them to make a shape, or you can get them individual, like an oval shape, and just, so there's so much to do with those. But it's the first time I've ever done it. And then this wasn't something I saw on the internet. The edging on it is twisted.
Right.
And the cane you use to wrap your pieces in, which are the old ones. Round stuff you use a cane, because that's pliable, so you can twist it. Now with the straight edge pieces, I use zinc strips.
Okay.
Because it just seems to form it better, and that's the way I like to do it. But this is, you use the cane and you just use a drill and twist it and get a twisty effect. It's something different. I thought I'd try.
So it's originally straight, and then you use a drill to make it twist?
Yeah.
So you made the twists?
Yeah, well, me and my husband, he helped me the first time. Yeah, so, yeah.
Wow.
So, and then these are my sun corners. I like these. I've made them larger. That's what I was doing at first, because they look pretty cool in corners of a doorway and that. So I've had people ask for those. But then again, whatever you want to do to make your sun, I just start and okay, what colors am I going to use today?
That's fun.
Yeah.
How fun that is.
Yeah. And then this is
it's a little different, an abstract piece.
Yeah, it's an abstract piece. I've done a few of those. Like I said, I like nature, so that's my biggest thing. But then, the abstract kind of is interesting to do in something different. I call it my abstract sun. So, but that, and though with abstracts you can do anything. There's orange, there's yellow. There's light blue here with they call it blue chip glass. I don't find it in too many colors anymore. A lot of this colored stuff is from the ladies I bought stuff from that have been doing it for so long. But, and then ripply, this one here it's just clear glass that's got bar lines through it.
You have a lot of different textures in the glass here.
Yeah, when I decided to do this, I said I want different stuff. I just don't want it all pretty.
The blue chip reminds me of frost on the window.
Yes, it does. That's why I really like it. And it is popular. You get it in the clear a lot still, but for people, people will do cupboard doors. I've had, the vinery was really big on that, and they'd even repair, but they would put glass in cupboard doors for you. And, you use something like that, you can't really see what's in behind your cupboard doors, but I don't know if they put lights in their cupboards though.
Some people do, sometimes.
Yeah. So, and I had a few dog pieces I had done there. Well, I did I was a vendor at, it was in Janesville for one of their Humane Society fundraisers. I think my daughter was working there at the time.
Sure.
So I'd made 4 or 5 dogs, a Dachshund, Pomeranian, German Shepherd, a Beagle. You know, I bought a book of patterns for that. But I got a new program I'm trying to work with and play with. I'm supposed to be able to scan in a picture, and then it'll help you draw the lines to make a stained glass piece. So, because I've had people, when I've had done the dogs, they said, well, can you do one of my dog? You know,
Sure.
It can't be just, you know, he's got to have this here on his face or something. I go, I'm working on it. I said, if I can get that to work, that's probably something I can do a little more often. So if somebody wants one of their special dog or cat, you know, there's all kinds of pets. So I had a lady ask me one day about cows, and I said, I'll have to work on that one, but she loves cows.
Sure, and often, you know, cows have very distinctive
Oh,
markings
yes.
on their heads, so it wouldn't have to be the whole animal, would
No,
it? You know,
no,
so just-
yeah. So, and this was actually a pattern for one of the first pieces I did. I did a couple to put in my one window on the front of the house, and it's just a fun one to do. And the idea with this one is the Irish theme. That was my idea. In fact, I call it my Irish panels with the colors and
It's
and
that green,
the green thing.
emerald green that you have.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's dimpled too. So, and then, yeah, this is the blue chip too, and that's what I used there. That was a tan colored one.
So they call that glass blue chip even when it's not blue?
Blue chip.
Oh, glue with a G.
Yeah,
Okay,
I thought it was
sorry.
blue at first too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, they call it glue chip.
chip.
And
Okay.
my understanding is when that originally started it's like you had the sheet of glass and then they put cowhide on it as it dried, and that's what gets the texture.
Huh.
I don't know if that's how they still do it, but.
Sure, it's how it was originally made.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So, and this is one of my different types of stars. And those, whatever color I feel like, and then it's a way too of using up if you got a small piece of glass to just use it up. And
After all the effort to choose the glass, you can see why you don't want to waste any of it.
yeah,
That's
yeah, and
good.
it just, most of it's just so pretty.
It is.
Yeah.
Little accent pieces.
Right. And then this is a winter scene. I've done this one, I do this one just about every year for craft shows, and they almost always sell. This one was more of a darker theme. I've done it more with the bright orange, you know, behind the trees. So it's just whatever colors I feel like using that year. Is what it comes
Sure.
down to.
Well,
And
you
then-
have to look at it, you're making it,
Right, well, that's just it. I mean, if I'm not really gonna like the way it looks when it's done, you know, unless it's, you know, like somebody wants something special.
Sure.
I mean, and I've done that, and it's like, you really want that color? But you know what? And a lot of times it turns out really, like the unicorn. I've made a few of those. I did a special order. She wanted a dark purple. Okay, I wasn't sure I was gonna do that, but it turned out great with the different purples I had. So some people have better ideas than I do. This is an angel heart. It's just, and the heart is separate. So the angel is soldered onto the heart on this piece. So
okay.
it's got some dimension to it. So
I didn't know that you could layer glass like that.
yeah.
Huh.
I've seen it, and somebody layered a cardinal that they made. You know, so but the wings were sticking out a little bit more. But it took me a while to figure out for sure how to do the soldering together, but I figured that out. So.
Yeah, you did, obviously, yeah.
So, and then here
we have our Americana.
This is my little Americana
Yes.
section. So this I've made this one for many years too. Shipped one to my son when he was in Kuwait, And he got it home okay. There was one crack in it, but so with all that tossing around with those bags, it made it. So
I'm impressed that it
yeah,
made it
yeah,
through all the
I am too.
journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well made.
And this one, this has got a bevel in it too, and it's got an etched flag, and says "God Bless America." And actually, this was when the bindery was closing. They had a bunch of stuff, you know, $1 or 2 or 3, you know. So he had 3 or 4 of those, and I just picked them up. I thought I'll figure out something to do with them.
Sure.
So that's what I figured out. I just made it a small square panel in the red, white, and blue, and put that in the middle of it. So, and that does pop out nice when the sun's out.
Yes.
So. And this is one, I had this one for quite a while. It's just a simple oval with a cross and a heart rose in it. I've seen it, actually the lady I went to see the other day that I got some, she had it, but she did it like in a orange or yellow. And then the cross part, she had just had textured glass. So, you know, just, again, an artist deciding for sure how they want to use it.
Sure. That is very textured.
Yeah, the brown is on that one.
Yeah.
And this is, it's yellow rosebuds. It's got the textured clear, and I've made that one a couple of times too. Rosebud's a different color, and a different color for the outside, so.
Well, to take advantage of these big windows and the light and everything, you've hung them up using these suction cups.
Yes.
What's your opinion on suction cups?
For for displaying, and like for some of my, in like the pop-up I have them things, because you got the windows.
Sure.
But on a permanent basis, my recommendation is not, unless you are a type that are willing to check them pretty regular, because they are eventually, after a while, the suction kind of quits. But then even if you are checking on it, you know, after, and granted it'd be probably a few years, you know, the rubber on the suction gets old and hard, and then it's not going to stick. So
doesn't the sunlight kind of eats into it after a while?
That probably makes sense. If you got it a really, especially if it's a really sunny window where you got it there, the sun's there a good chunk of the day, yeah, the sun is going to affect it. So I know. I'm fortunate enough to live in an old house, and most old homes have wooden frames for their windows. So for mine, I have, depending upon what I'm hanging, I got screws. The bigger one, I got screws screwed right into the wood frame to hang it from. Or the smaller pieces, I'll just use a push pin to put in, or two. If you're hanging the same thing in the same spot all the time, you could probably just pound in a little nail.
Right.
Or whatever, but.
Something more permanent.
Right.
And it can hang from that. I suppose curtain rods too.
You could, you could hang it from your curtain rod. Yeah, you got the string down far enough.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's kind of how we do it at Paradiddles. They bought a special curtain rod and put up, and then I hang everything off of the curtain rod in different spots. But yeah, and especially these, when we're done, the first thing that's going to come down, because I don't want them to fall down.
Yes, that would be very bad.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to make sure that our viewers know that you have a Facebook page called Precious Glass.
Right.
And that has your contact information on it.
Yeah, it has an
Email.
I use Messenger for that too, so.
Okay, and your email is going to be displayed on the screen for the viewers, as well as a link to your Facebook page.
Yeah, I'm working on a QR code too, but I haven't got it set up yet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And that brings me to my next question, which is, how much of a role do computers have in your work? What do you mentioned some software that can scan an image and then come up with the recommendations?
Right, yeah, I'm working with that one. For computers, I for some of my patterns that I make, that I kind of design on my own, I'll Google what it is I'm thinking I want to make, and look at different pictures. I don't, there's just some things, well, like my bald eagle, I didn't like anything I was finding out there. Because there's free patterns, or there's patterns you can buy on different websites. But, so I use it for that. And, well, you get, with starting to sell more product, okay, I got to start doing more accounting and keeping track of monies and stuff.
The business side.
Yeah, I got the business side. So right now, though, for creating, not a lot. I kind of prefer to just work on my own thing.
Draw it out freehand?
Yeah, a little bit, and then maybe copy a little something so I can make sure I get the heart just right, or
Sure.
sometimes it's kind of freehand. Those basic shapes are hard to do.
Yes, I find them hard to do. So, Where could I go offline to look at your pieces?
For if you actually want to see some of my product, I'm doing some pop-ups at the Monisha Business Center a little bit. My next one is July. It's July 6th, 7th, and 8th. Thursday, Friday, Saturday after the 4th of July. I'll be there. Well, I put posters out, but like Thursday, Friday, I've been doing like 11 to 5:30, and then Saturday 9 to 2. And that, and I'm doing that again in September around Wiener and Kraut weekend. I'm going to do it, and I don't have the dates for sure in November and December. It's usually like the second Thursday, Friday, Saturday of the month I do it.
At the Monisha Business Center
Right.
in Waterloo.
Right.
Okay.
And
you post the dates on your Facebook page?
yes, I've got them on there, but I'll probably boost it this week.
Sure.
Because it's getting closer.
It's getting closer.
And then I pop posters around different businesses in town too.
Is there a particular design that you find sells the most?
Cardinals. I don't have any here, but that's one reason why. I can almost guarantee if I have any cardinals somewhere that they're going to be gone by the end of the event. But that is the most popular.
Changing from a hobby to a business is a very big step. What made you decide to make this a business instead of just something you're doing for fun?
Part of it is that looking at the business side of it and working on numbers and stuff, you're supposed to claim your income for the IRS, whichever way you do it. But with a hobby, you can't deduct your expenses. As a business, you can deduct your expenses. So that was one motivating factor. The other was I did retire 2-3 years ago from working at the police department for 30 years. And so that means, and I'm not old enough for Medicare. I'm not going to say how old I am.
That's all right.
But I'm not old enough for
I'm
Medicare.
not going to either. So.
And I have to pay for my health insurance.
Oh, sure.
So trying to get this up and running more as a business to be able to sell more product to help me cover that expense was another. And business-wise, too, I think as a hobby, you're not as inclined to push your items as much. If it's a business, this is my business, I need to be generating income for it. And with the days that I have time to really work hard on it, but those are kind of few here lately, but I can end up with so many pieces. What am I going to do with them? Let them sit in my basement,
Right, where nobody will see them.
Right.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
if you love what you're doing,
Oh, yes.
eventually you're going to have a lot of it,
Right.
and it will just sit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Are you happy with how your business is going? Is this working out for you?
Yes. I've been happy the way the last few months have gone since I really started pushing it. I mean, granted, you'd like it up a little higher, but, you know, when you're first starting out. But, like, I've been doing the pop-ups and then do Facebook. And it there again, too, I've had it where people will see what I have there, but then I get a message, well, but could you do this for me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Facebook has helped me in that aspect to get it out there. And, well, you know, with Facebook, and you do your post, and I don't know how many people know how it works with business, but you can boost it and see for a small fee, then they will pop it out there to other people that are not following you or your family or whatever.
Right.
And then you get, and that's 2 or 3 customers here lately I've gotten that way, so. Facebook
it's
has
working.
worked, yeah.
Yeah.
And considering I didn't use Facebook until February.
I was going to ask, how long have you been on Facebook? Since February?
February. That's
Wow.
I even started my personal one in February. I said I've
Wow.
not been on Facebook, so
And you just started doing the pop-ups as well, too.
yes, that's just started in March. My first one was April. I
April.
wanted March, but things didn't get quite going in time.
So this is a new expansion phase
Yes.
in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Much so. Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed.
Thank you.
Good for you. Well, I want to thank you for coming,
Sure. Thank
Today.
you for letting me come.
sharing your work with us and explaining some of what goes on to create the work and
Okay.
all the effort in making your business. Thank you for joining us today at WLOO CATV's Resident Artist Program. And as always, if you or someone you know is very serious about their art and would like to share it with the broader community, please contact us at WLOOCATV@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us today, and have a good day after this. Bye-bye.
Interested in having your business or organization highlighted here? Please contact us at WLOOCATV@WaterlooWI.us. We want to take this moment to politely ask to hit that like and subscribe button. WLOO is a non-profit organization, and the simple support of taking the moment to like and subscribe helps the algorithm, so our content can reach a broader audience.